These past few years, I've pretty quickly learned that I'm a bit of a Matt Johnson fan. Whether it be his first film released this year, Nirvana the Band, the Show, the movie, or 2023's Blackberry, or Operation Avalanche, I like what the guy is putting out. I'll be honest though, I've never been a huge Anthony Bourdain fan. I've never had anything against the guy or any bad blood. I just never felt the same draw and appeal many did. I respected his work and craft, just never really engaged with it. However, when it was announced that Matt Johnson would be helming the project and Dominic Sessa would be taking on the lead role, I found myself more and more excited despite how little I knew what to expect. Well, now that's out, I can definitely say Matt Johnson nailed it once again. Tony, directed by Matt Johnson, follows Anthony Bourdain, a 19-year-old student who is hoping to one day make it as a writer. After not receiving the fellowship he was hoping for, he impulsively travels to Provincetown, Massachusetts, where he begins working in a kitchen to earn his keep. Like I mentioned earlier, Bourdain has never really drawn my interest, but I've always had some idea and understanding of the man and his work. I had some feeling of the places this film would go, and one of the best parts is that it doesn't. Unlike something like My Goal released earlier this year, or most biopics focused on one totemic figure we see these days, Tony isn't playing the hits. If anything, it's playing the demos. The film choosing to center on just one summer early in his life really fascinated me, and made me really interested in what Matt Johnson saw in this story. One thing I initially wondered with Johnson taking on this project for a studio and collaborating with so many other writers was how this would compare or measure up to his other works. One of the things Johnson does best in my book is writing a man who cannot understand those around him, someone who is unable to comprehend or respect that those around him also have their own interiority and consciousness. From the first few minutes you get with Sessa's Anthony Bourdain, it becomes instantly clear why Johnson was so drawn to this. Young Tony was all of this without any of the success. Unlike Jay Baruchel's Mike Lazardis in Blackberry, who we watch rise from his humble beginnings, then fall unceremoniously towards the end, Tony only lets us see Anthony Bourdain before everything. The real man, the success, the book, is so far removed from that it's easy to forget until the end of the film reminds you. Bourdain is genuinely unbearable, but also undeniably charming, and as the opening of the film tells us, Bourdain himself said he was, I was, to be frank, a spoiled, miserable, narcissistic, self-destructive, and thoughtless young lout, and badly in need of a good ass-kicking. Tony isn't a coming-of-age story about a man rising to success, pulling himself out of poverty, or unlocking a skill to become a master or expert at their passion. Tony is instead a coming-of-age story about a guy learning how to be a decent human being and respect those around him, and I really love that. The film feels incredibly small in its scale, and far less grand or as encompassing as so many recent biopics do, but it felt far more impactful to me in that way. The film might fail in some ways to teach you much about Anthony Bourdain or why he became so important and totemic for so many, but it made me want to learn more about the guy, and I think the best biopics do that. This is certainly a performance-driven movie, as while I enjoyed the writing and the general story, it would not work at all if the cast wasn't pulling their weight. Dominic Sessa is really great as Anthony Bourdain. He carries himself with this sort of inherently malicious energy. There's this great moment where he leaves Nancy's work with a slice of pizza, and after every bite he's flailing it around like a kid throwing a tantrum, and it's just so awesome. Like I mentioned earlier though, it's easy to be charmed by the guy too, and see how he becomes such a respected and charismatic figure. There's some moments where Sessa just feels undeniably delightful. It obviously feels similar to his performance in The Holdovers, but the thorniness is turned up to 11, and the charisma is also in tow. He's doing the Han Solo fake it till you make it thing, and much like I think Alden Ehrenreich nails it in that Solo film, he's not convincing anyone but himself, but most of the time, he's really convincing himself. Antonio Banderas kills every one of his scenes. I really love every quiet moment between him and Sessa, or the incredible sequence of him making ketchup. Banderas brings this overwhelming sense of stability and excitement to the film. He feels just involved enough in Bourdain's story for him to not feel like a tropey mentor, yet still feeling present enough that in 2 months he could probably change this guy's life. I really love how much time the movie gives him and Sessa together. Really great stuff. The rest of the ensemble is great. Emilia Jones is not given all that much, but makes Nancy feel intriguing enough, and her chemistry with Sessa is really good. That said, she does feel like the most underserved character in the film, and it might benefit from some more time with her and a better understanding of her and her dynamic with Bourdain. Stavros is so great. I'm a huge fan of the guy and always find him to be hilarious, yet I was surprised by how well he holds up to the rest of the ensemble. He of course is really funny, but he's also far more dramatically equipped than I expected. which that's maybe on me after his great role in Begonia. The standout performance of the entire film, though, is Leo Woodall, who just dominates every single scene he gets. The only other film I've seen Woodall in was Tuner earlier this year, a film I felt just okay about but enjoyed his performance in. This is a remarkable performance, though. Leo's Sal feels like the size of the room, a man whose presence and aggression make it impossible to even breathe around him. Yet, his self-assuredness and contentness make it clear why someone like Bourdain would feel drawn to the guy, despite the inevitable time bomb of him blowing up in Bourdain's vicinity. When Leo Woodall tells you that Sal doesn't care, it's impossible not to believe him. It's really one of the most captivating performances I've seen this year. Another aspect of Johnson's films that has continually surprised me is how adept and competent he seems behind the camera. Whether it be the remarkable car sequence in Operation Avalanche, or the invigorating and mind-breaking scene between the younger and older Matt and Jays in Nirvana the Band the Show, an effect done so well that I cannot stop thinking about it to this day. So after seeing he was teaming up with Michael Bauman, the cinematographer on last year's One Battle After Another, I was even more excited, and boy did the film not let me down at all in that department. Aside from the terrific colors and lighting choices, the scene highlighted in the marketing of him laying outside is just giving a glimpse of how great the nightlife scenes look. But once again, I found many of the composition and framing choices to be so invigorating. Many of the conversations are framed as over the shoulders, and depending on the conversation and how Bourdain is feeling in the moment, the camera will center the shoulder more and more in the frame. Characters feel trapped or disrespected and are literally fighting for any room in the frame. It's a great choice. In general, Bourdain finds himself trapped in the frame more often when things aren't going well or when he's upset, and when he begins to find a groove or understand things a little better, the frame opens up way more. It's a simple technique but still effective and amplifies Bourdain's arc. And yeah, like I said, Bauman also has a real knack for where to place a camera, and I routinely found myself eating up the details of the frame or the interesting framing choices. Even something as simple as a brief 3-second interaction being shot through a cafe window and conversation inside it really got me excited. The film is about 106 minutes in total and feels like a brisk 90 minutes. The first hour just breezes right by, and the film never feels like it's letting up, while also giving many of the sadder or more tense moments the weight and space they need to breathe and feel impactful. It's one of the better paced films I've seen this year. In that same vein, it also handles a few different tone shifts and sudden changes really well and gracefully. Once again, allowing those heavy moments the space to land, while still being full of really great jokes and moments of real joy. It kind of lands it all. Of course, this being a film about Anthony Bourdain and some of his time working in kitchens, the movie needs to have some good looking food, which it does. I'm a pretty big fan of seafood, and as someone who walked into the screening a bit hungry, I walked out famished. The film doesn't overdo or try and make things feel too extraordinary or like Ratatouille. The food looks incredible, but also just like one stop of the long culinary journey Bourdain will embark on. The movie also nails the atmosphere and setting. There are many locations in this film, yet Provincetown feels adequately cozy and enticing. You can understand how this feels like a new world for Bourdain, and one he would come to love a bit. The streets, the few buildings we see, and the beaches make this place feel so alluring. Also, Jamie Carroll, great score. Really love both the licensed songs and the original music for this thing. Feels like just the right amount of inspiring and awe-inducing, while also feeling quaint and homey. It's a great balance and perks my ears whenever I heard it. In an age where the biopic has become one of the most drawn out and hacky genres in the industry, it was really refreshing to see something like Tony. A movie so unabashedly unimportant and grand, and one that feels all the better because of it. When watching the movie, I kept thinking of James Mangold's A Complete Unknown, another biopic that similarly felt unburdened by measuring up to the scale of its hero, and instead focused on who they were before that, and how they learned to even be the concept of that person. While A Complete Unknown certainly explored Dylan's career a bit more, I respect Tony for committing to this moment in time, and still finding a way to make the film feel more important than all those other biopics do. That's about gonna do it for this one though, so as always, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, follow me on Letterboxd and Substack, and go see Tony and let me know what you think.